leadership means to help other people grow, and for me to grow alongside them as well. That's the only way you learn, and that's the only way I believe that you become a true leader. I think, instead of being scared, I think we need to just take it on and learn as much as we can. Instead of jobs disappearing, they're going to evolve, and other jobs will come and replace those jobs that have been lost. Leadership comes in many forms. That's the way I lead, through kindness and through understanding, and trying to make the people who work for me better, and for them to make me better as well. So I learn from them, they learn from me. It's a total collaboration, and that's how I see leadership.
Welcome to the True Leadership Podcast, where we sit down with executive leaders to explore what leadership really means through the lens of their stories, their wins, their struggles, their vision, and their lessons along the way. I'm Ty Hammond, founder of One Mountain Leadership and creator of the True Leadership Approach, an awareness-based path that helps leaders shift their focus from what to do about their problems to how to grow from them. Whether you're just stepping into leadership or are well-seasoned and at the top of your game, your potential won't be realized following someone else's script, but you can draw insights from their stories and turn it into wisdom by putting it into practice in your own life.
Welcome to the True Leadership Podcast, where we explore the essence of leadership beyond tactics and performance by sitting down with executives to hear what matters most to them. I'm your host, Jessy James, and today's guest is Julieta Alvarado. Julieta is a multilingual marketing executive and vice president of integrated marketing at LeoForce, where she leads brand, demand generation, and performance strategy to accelerate SaaS growth. With more than 18 years of global experience, she has built and scaled high-performing marketing teams, driven multi-million-dollar lead generation engines, and aligned marketing with revenue outcomes. Previously at Monster and Mode Media, she delivered $14 million in annual lead programs and helped international divisions account for 40% of company revenue. Fluent in English, Spanish, and French, Julieta brings a global mindset, data-driven rigor, and a passion for building brands that convert attention into measurable growth. Julieta, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Julieta, I'm curious, who is someone from your early life or even an early experience that shaped the kind of leader that you are today?
I think my father was very influential in the way I conduct myself in business. He had a very strict work ethic, and I modeled myself after him. He was a hard worker, but also a highly ethical man. And for me, seeing him in that capacity, in his work and the way he conducted himself, was an example for me to emulate. So I would say my father.
Thank you. And I'm also curious, what did you learn from him that stays with you possibly till today?
Work hard, always do the right thing. And if you don't do the right thing, correct yourself and go back and do the right thing. I think that those are the two lessons that I learned from him. Again, he had a very strong work ethic, hard worker, very intelligent, and very kind. So he used kindness at the same time as he was tough on himself and sometimes on other people because he wanted to bring the best of other people, but very strong work ethic. And I emulate my work ethic after his.
What does true leadership mean to you? From your perspective, what makes a true leader?
That's such a good question and hard to answer because I'm sure many people think different things about leadership. For me, leadership means to help other people grow, and for me to grow alongside them as well. I don't think leadership is something that comes naturally. I think you learn it throughout the years with your work experience. You might become a manager right out of college, but that doesn't make you a leader. You have to go through several experiences. You have to, I think, have an open mind and always be listening to what other people are saying, because that's the only way you learn. And that's the only way I believe that you become a true leader.
That's so insightful. Can you share about a time when you realized that your way of leading and living no longer met the demands of your work and life and growth was needed?
Oh my gosh, that's a really good question. Um, I don't know if there is a specific time when that happened, but I think as you get older and as you go through different experiences at work, you realize that the most important um, is not just the work, is how you develop as a person and how you interact with other people. So maybe early on in my career, I may have been a little tougher on myself and on other people, and I always thought that I have to perform a certain way in order to get things done. But as time went by and as I acquire more experience, I realized that that no longer served me. Being stressed all the time or always trying to be the best at what you do. Of course, you always strive for greatness, but sometimes you can go a little bit too far. So that to me is when I realized this doesn't serve me anymore, working 80 hours a week or being so tough on myself. And that's when I started to turn things around a little bit and start to look at what really is important, not only is my in corporate life, but also in my personal life.
And I'm curious, letting go of long hours, what impact did that have on who you are and how you lead today?
Well, it made me a little bit of a more relaxed person, happier, better mood. My health improved because I used to have, headaches here and there because I was stressed out. But I think once I made that change, things started to change for the better. And putting less pressure on myself and my team, I think, really improved our work life balance.
Thinking about your journey over the past few years, what's been the most valuable investment that you've made in yourself, in your own growth?
On myself, well, besides my education, which was always very important to me, I come from a part of the world where it's not always the case where women get highly educated, and for me that was very important. And other than that, I think um, I try to read a lot. I'm quite a reader. I love books and I love self-improvement books, and I love to always learn more about myself, more about behavior, of how maybe work better with others, how to be a better leader, how to be a better coworker, how to deal with difficult situations, and also learning about, especially now, about the new changes in technology. I think it's very important for us to, in order to improve ourselves, to go on with the changes or to adapt to changes. And I know a lot of people are scared about that, but I think, instead of being scared, I think we need to just take it on and learn as much as we can. And that will help us improve in many ways, not only for our career, but also for our personal satisfaction.
And this lifelong kind of intentional learning, what difference has that made in your leadership and in your life?
Well, I think it has given me a different perspective. I think that um, the self-improvement, coupled with my work experience and the fact that am a truly I have a global mindset, so I've been exposed to people from different places in the world. I think has given me a flexibility that has served me well as a
Mm.
leader and in my personal life as well.
What's your vision for your leadership, your legacy, or the impact that you want to have in the years ahead?
Oh my gosh. I hope, in terms of legacy, I never think of myself as leaving a legacy, but if there's one thing that I would like my team or the people who have worked for me in the past and currently, is to say that I allowed them to grow, to learn, not only from me, but from their mistakes, and that I empower them enough to make mistakes. Because I think the point of empowering people is not only to have them lead and to learn, but also to help them, to allow them to make mistakes, because that's the only way we learn.
Is there a story there? Is there a story that you can share?
About
How you encouraged and empowered your team to make mistakes and learn from it, and you created that.
okay, yes. I don't encourage them to make mistakes, but I
Yeah,
empower
that's
them
great.
to make
Right,
mistakes.
that.
It can be anything. It could be like a lead generation campaign that we thought the budget that we had allocated for that was the right one, and they came to me and said, I don't agree with this. Maybe instead of 10K, I want to spend 20K because I XYZ, and this person would explain the reasoning behind it. And my job is, first of all, use my experience to not allow them to make catastrophic mistakes that are going to affect the bottom line. But at the same time, if it's a good idea, well founded, with good arguments that make sense, then yes, let's go for it. And it may have been a mistake to do it that way, but we learned and we were able to correct on time. But I empower this person enough to make the mistake.
Thank you. And where do you feel most tested right now? Like, what challenges are stretching you the most in leadership and life?
Right now, currently in 2026, I think it's the changes in technology. I think the introduction of AI into our lives, not only our personal life, but our not only our work life, but our personal life in both areas, I think
Yeah.
is a major change for everybody. And I think part of my role as a leader is to help my team navigate those changes because they're coming so fast. So I think that's a big challenge right now, is to be able to help them be comfortable with how rapidly things are changing, being flexible enough so that we change with the changes and that we don't get ourselves frustrated or frozen by the fact that there's this new technology that maybe we don't know as much as we want to, but instead of being afraid, just take it head on and learn as much as we can and adapt to it. And
And how
with
are
it,
you doing that, both for yourself and for your team? Like, how are you kind of growing and meeting this challenge, which is so pervasive?
learning as much as we can, um, uh, adapting to the tools that help us at work make our lives easier, instead of having the mentality of this technology is here to take our jobs away, but instead is helping us be more human. Let the tool do the hard work and let us do the work that is more important. So I think not being afraid, learning as much as we can, and also implementing it in our day-to-day work so that we know the limitations of it and that we're able to use it without any fear.
Yeah. And you said fear, oftentimes when I'm talking to people, people talk a lot about the fear of change, that it's transforming and it's coming at you so fast.
Yes.
I'm curious again, how are you dealing with that pace of change? How are you dealing with the fears within? What are those fears and how are you kind of,
Well,
approaching
I
them?
think one of the fears, as I mentioned, is people think that the new technology is going to take their jobs away and their jobs may be in jeopardy. And I have had these conversations with my team. There's a person in particular that came to me and was saying, I'm afraid that in a year from now, I'm not going to have a job.
Mm.
And I don't have the answers because I also don't know if a year from now my job is going to disappear as well. But all I can say is that society always evolves. I'm old enough to remember when people were saying the internet was going to disappear all our jobs and this and that. And, it's not that some people lost their jobs, but they were able to evolve. The same when the car manufacturing came into being. Those jobs, some of them disappear, but they evolved. So I think that's the way I choose to see it, is that instead of jobs disappearing, they're going to evolve and other jobs will come and replace those jobs that have been lost. So I try to be a very positive minded person, and I always think that the best is what's going to happen. And I think this advancing technology is only going to help us. Will it have a negative side? Of course, the internet has a very negative side as well, but it's a technology that we need and we use all the time, and now we cannot live without it. And I think it's going to be very similar as well.
So this last question is more of an invitation. You have this time and space to offer to our listeners, whatever it is that's top of the mind for you, both, in your heart and in your mind. Anything at all. Take your time. The floor is yours.
About leadership, specifically, or about anything?
Whatever you want to share with your, with the audience.
I think, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. This has been a really pleasant conversation. And, if there's any message that I want to drive the audience or send to the audience, is that leadership comes in many forms. Some of us choose to be leaders lead with kindness, as I say, and some people have a different view. But that's the way I lead, through kindness and through understanding, and trying to make the people who work for me better, and for them to make me better as well. So I learn from them, they learn from me. It's a total collaboration, and that's how I see leadership. And I just hope that it continues.
Thank you so much, Julieta. It's been such a pleasure to have you on the podcast today. I learned so much, and I'm sure our listeners are going to learn a lot from this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessy, and it was a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of the True Leadership Podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this to catch future episodes. This conversation was brought to you by One Mountain Leadership, where we help leaders grow the capacity, confidence, and presence of true leadership through the True Leadership Approach. To learn more about the approach, our offerings, our community, and how we can help you realize your potential in both leadership and in life, visit us at onemountainleadership.com.